Hey, Blue Table fans! Yes, you get to look at this. Hey, Blue Table fans! Those are practice shots. Those are like, that looked a little painful. Shockwave of happiness. And it goes all around the world because we're all connected. We're all connected. So anyway, this is the part of the show where I get to, that I actually hurt myself a little bit. This is the part of the show where I get to talk about whatever I want for as long as I want. Oh my gosh. And so the first thing is, I've had a feeling for a while that someone out there in BTB fandom is at the end of their rope. And I just want to give you a word of encouragement that things are going to get better. And here's why. Here's how it works. For the new good thing to come into your life, the old thing first has to leave. And because you can't have both at the same time. You have to let go of the old thing that's not the thing that you want. And so for a period of time there, what are you smiling about? This is awesome stuff, man.
When you're sitting there and you're like, you have to get rid of the old thing, all I can think of is, like getting rid of your ex-wife so you can get a hot new girlfriend.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So that's what popped into Spencer's mind. So you can't have the both things at the same time, typically. So there is a period of time where you have like a blank spot. And that can be painful, it can be confusing, it can be, just a time where it's like, God, what is going on? And so that's my preliminary message today is letting go. Let go, just take a deep breath and have faith that the new good thing is just going to move right in. And I think it's like equipment slots on video games that you only have space for one of whatever it is. And so, if you've got a rusty dagger in there, you got to get rid of that first, and then bring in the +5 Holy Avenger. And so again, you got to let go of that old thing, and that's hard because the old things are so familiar. But when you're in a state of growth, a state of change, that is precisely what has to happen. And I don't think that ever stops. I think old things move out and new things move in. And for me, it's like I become very easy with that. It's like, the door's open. So if you're going to come in, then you're welcome. And if it's time for you to leave, then go right on ahead. But don't stand in the door because you're blocking the traffic. Just, let those things go. So anyway, that is what I have to say today about that. The other thing is about, thank you very much, is that it's interesting because when I'm doing these videos, I know like 1,000 people are going to see it. And but I'm like, I don't want to do it if there's like 3 people in the room, right? And that's because of ego, because I'll be checking myself to see, will these people approve of it? Are they going to make fun of me? And you can't go through life like that either. You got to just be your own person and ignore the fact that Spencer is laughing and like, okay, here he comes. What's going on, Spencer? Do you need to be in on this? Come on in, buddy. Come on in, buddy. I'm allowing Spencer into my life.
I just want you to know, Shawn, no matter how many people are in the room, we're still going to make fun of you.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Always and every time.
What if none of you are in the room?
We'll find a way. You'll start getting text messages and phone calls.
They'll see the video. They'll say, saw your video today, LOL.
We know what you're doing.
Hey, Ben, how's it going? Ben, hey, Ben, come here. Here, we're talking about letting things go in your life. To make space for the new good thing.
I need some new clothes right now.
So what are you, okay, so Ben's going to let go of his old clothes. And wow,
if
this
you
was
see those at Salvation Army, do not pick them up.
Unexpected. By the way, I'm in the middle of this huge room, and yet people are like right next to me. Ben's like, you called me over. So yeah, no, that's exactly it. I read this article. It's a chapter in this book called the vacuum law, and it says this precise thing. So as you guys know, I got rid of my car.
Right.
I had a van that was paid for, but it wasn't what I wanted. And so I said, okay, well, you got to give to receive. Give first, receive nothing in return. So I signed the title over to somebody who worked here who needed that. He was just married. They only had one car to commute north and south. So it was like they'd have to go north for her job, then he'd have to come all the way south here, and then he'd have to go back up north to get her, and then they'd be home. So anyway, so I signed over the title, and long story short, now I have my awesome car that I love.
It's a pretty cool
That I
car.
love. It is. Oh, black
like
leather.
a
It's
spaceship.
very manly. Yes, it's like a spaceship. I love that car. So anyway, that's an example, but it could be people, a job, a skill.
That's what
It
happened
could be
with me.
something, but you have to clock yourself on the hammer
You know
to
what?
forget the old skill.
You know what's hard about those, giving up your old stuff, is you have a lot of ties, like emotional ties to the past. It has to do with your old stuff. So you're not only dealing with your past issues, you also, it's a double whammy, you know?
Yeah, well, and it's comfortable. It's
Right.
very comfortable to just kind of hang on and let it just be what it's always been.
Right.
You know, and it's hard because you don't necessarily see what the new good thing is going to be. That's why I love my vision board, because I get up and I see all the people and things that I want to be in. I want to bring them, like my personal assistant. Yeah, I'm excited. Someday I'll have a PA. It's gonna happen.
Is it going to be like...
I already know what it's
Star
going to be
Wars?
like.
You're going to be
What?
like Jabba the Hutt, and you have your...
Yes, that's right.
His little
Chains,
rat monster.
chains and armored bikinis will be involved.
It's
All
every
right,
man.
you guys better get out of here. Go on.
What?
All right.
I'm agreeing with you, Shawn.
Okay, great.
Because
I'm ready. Okay, here comes
let's do it.
Spencer again. Spencer
Because-
wants to be a part. Go ahead.
Because what you're saying about giving up the old and
Yeah.
welcoming in the new, it's entirely true. Because I moved out here from Maryland
Ooh,
a little over a year ago,
Right.
or a little less than a year ago.
Right.
It'll be a year at the end of September, and a couple of months ago, I decided I was going to start fresh. So I pretty much cut ties with everything I had back in
Oh,
Maryland,
wow.
short of like family or whatever.
right.
And I've started over, and I'm making new friends, and it's great. And like Ben said, there was a lot of emotional attachment involved, and it was kind of tough to make the decision. It took me like 3 months to figure it out, but you have to let go sometimes. You have to do what's going to be best for you. I know a lot of people want to do what they think is going to be best for their friends or for their family. They want to help people out. And that's admirable. It's great to know that there are people out there who look out for others. And I try and do that myself, but sometimes you got to do what's best for you. I moved 2,000 miles away from everything I knew for this job, and it's been wonderful. I love my job. I love where I live. I've got a great new house with great roommates and new friends, and it's amazing. And so sometimes you just have to sort of move on. You got to accept that the past is the past, and you got to look forward to the future.
Well, thank you very much, Spencer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go get back to work.
By the way, you're fired. Now that's bad timing. All right. So anyway, now that raises an interesting point. It's like, well, I don't want to, let these people down. Yeah, that's not necessarily how it is. First off, you're also allowing that other person to also have new things come into their life as well. Secondly, there's a judgment involved with that, which is I somehow am integral to this person's happiness. And that is not necessarily true. A person's happiness comes from inside of them and how they choose to perceive and act on things themselves. So that's a toughie. It's definitely a matter of heart, a matter of intuition, and contemplation. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say was that equipment slot analogy. So it's important when you get rid of the old thing that you don't receive anything in return. You actually, if it's a physical object, actually give it away, and then it's gone. So because if you get a penny for it, a penny goes into the equipment slot. Until what? What am I going to sell the penny for a penny? No, you actually get rid of it entirely. So, okay. Well, that's what I had to say about that. And a word of encouragement, keep your chin up. Things do get better. And your life, you have all the equipment that you need for a happy, good, satisfying, fulfilling life right here inside of your own mind. If you change your consciousness, you can change the reality that is around you. And all right, so moving on. So I had this, as if that weren't obnoxious enough. No, you know what? I just made a judgment on my own thing. See, I tried to downplay it as obnoxious just so nobody would be offended. No, what I just told you was awesome. And you are fortunate to be here listening to me. Yeah. Yep, you're good fortune.
Modest, too.
Yep, that's right. That's right. I don't need to be modest when I'm so awesome. All right, so anyway, so I thought I would tell you my life story. A lot of people are new to the channel, and they don't just like, well, who is this guy? And okay, so let me tell you all about it. I am born to Oregon hillbillies on my father's side, and like chop wood for the wood stove, and I spent a lot of time out in the boondocks, and a California girl. So part of my youth was spent in Southern California on the beach, on the boardwalk, and that was really, really absolutely amazing. So I had an absolutely amazing childhood. I was born with a wooden spoon in my mouth. We were dirt poor. Yeah. When I was so I grew up mostly in Southern Oregon, and we did a lot of camping. And right about when I was 13, I was like, yeah, outdoors not for me. And I, in my own mind, of my own preferences, I decided that I definitely loved the comforts of civilized life, and that's certainly not changed in my old age. So I avoid camping when I can, but I do understand it. And in fact, when I was 9, we moved to Alaska. We were about 30 miles south of the Arctic Circle, and we basically lived in this encampment. We had no running water, no electricity. I lived in the back of a truck with a canopy over it. That was my bedroom. And I had a mattress, not a mattress, a mat, a sleeping mat, a bedroll, a kerosene lantern, mosquito repellent, and a giant stack of books. Now, many, many years later, in 2000, so this was, must have been 1979. And we were digging for gold. So they had like a sluice box, and my dad and my uncle both worked that. They did hand mining in a river. So, okay, so anyway, fast forward to 2003, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and so we had a lot of conversations, and one of them was kind of on his deathbed. It was a very short period of time before he died, and what's funny is to all the people that he knew that were close relatives, he only expressed regret to one of them, as far as I know. And that was me. He said, I regret taking you out of the small town where we lived, selling our house, and moving you up to Alaska. And I was like, no, that was the best thing to ever happen to me. That was a formative moment in my life. And so it amazed me. I was like, oh my gosh, he's been carrying along this regret. And I wonder how many regrets, I carry along, maybe you carry, things that aren't necessary. Those things in the past, they happened. They unfolded a certain way. And you can't always know that that was the wrong way somehow. And in fact, I think things are unfolding as they should. And so it's a heavy burden to assign a judgment to that and say, well, that was bad, that was the wrong thing. When in reality, maybe something that you think was awful is actually awesome. And, I can't apply that to a specific circumstance, but you see what I'm saying. I was like, oh no, that was fantastic, because I became a reader. That time we spent in Alaska where I had nothing to do except read books, it made me an insanely fast reader and I love books, lifelong love of books and self-learning. And so those things really formed me. When I was 17, when I was 13, our dad left us, and that's a whole story in itself. That's a pretty brutal conversation. You know, my mother sitting down with my sister and I at the kitchen table and saying, yeah, Dad's not coming back. And you know what I remember feeling? Nothing. Click, just turned it off. And I basically did role-playing games, kind of escaped to these fantasy worlds, and that was fantastic too. Definitely, I loved my childhood. My mother worked very hard to support us, and but boy, we didn't have much. So when I was 17, she moved to a different city, and so I wanted to stay and finish high school where I was. So I moved into a trailer park with a roommate, and my rent was $85 a month, and I worked for what was then minimum wage of like $3.25 at McDonald's. So I worked at McDonald's for minimum wage to basically finish out my senior year of high school. My grade point average my senior year of high school was 0.6. So I had the absolutely amazing good fortune to go to school in Southern Oregon, where they kind of just graduated you. And but while I was there, my teachers really were really very flexible, and they allowed me to learn on my own and to a great extent do my own thing. So self-taught is what I'm going to say. And role-playing games did me a lot of good. So, all right, well, let me just blast through the rest of it. Basically, I lived as a bachelor in Southern Oregon. I was actually, after graduation, I lived in Southern California for a summer, which was fantastic. And I worked as a security guard, and I was and then when I moved back to Oregon, I was homeless. I just couch surfed at people's places for a while, at least maybe 6 months of that. So I recommend that. People are like, oh, I got to get off to college. No, you don't. No, you don't. Just, yeah. In fact, I'm going to encourage my kids to just go backpacking or travel, or maybe just be a bum for a while. And boy, I bet some parents will be ripping their hair out. But again, it's that's a work of heart, and who am I to say what's right for somebody else? I can only say what my experience has been for your humor and pleasure. All right, so anyway, so a couple of years of doing not much useful. Then I was a missionary for the LDS Church, the Mormons. For 2 years, I went to Chile in South America, and that was a whole adventure there. And yeah, I could fill up hours and hours just talking about that. And but what I got out of that is, boy, I learned to put in a 14-hour day, and we lived on $150 a month. That was for everything: room, food, and stamps to write home. And so talk about living on the cheap. So I was in a few rural areas where it was like, boy, if somebody gave you some eggs, that was awesome. It's like, let's fry those up. And so when I got back to the Miami airport, I literally bowed down and kissed the American soil, which is pretty gross because the floor of the Miami airport is not very clean. But I did it. And I remember I went to like one of the shops, and I got 2 king-size Snickers. I took a dump in a king-size American toilet. American standard, man. Sucked down a football. So anyway, yeah, I was glad, and it was great. And I remember just being in bed and just going, oh, this is so awesome. No fleas. No fleas was my predominant feeling. And so anyway, so I got these perspectives. What is it like to live in the outback of Alaska? What is it like to live in the San Francisco Bay Area, which comes later? And, what is it like to live in absolute destitute poverty I mean, in a room that is like 5 feet by 9 feet, you know, with a rope nailed to the wall to hang your clothes on. And what is it like to live in, to have it good, which is what I have now. I live in an awesome house, awesome neighborhood. My wife and I have taken some absolutely fantastic trips. And, you know, what is it like on that side, too? And I say yes, please. So anyway, so I get back, and because I'm not, you know, thinking outside the box, I just go ahead and go to college, because that's what you do, right? You just go to college. And I don't know what I want to be, and but teaching kind of clicks in my mind, because that's a lot of fun. And so a year into college, I meet my lovely wife, Tammy, and just fell in love at first sight, I'm going to say. I was just like, oh man, she's fantastic. And so we went out on it. So from hello, my name is Shawn, to will you marry me was 25 days, if you can believe that. Don't recommend that for everybody, but there it was. We got to know each other really quickly. We knew, we spent every waking moment together. We had both dated a lot, so we knew, you know, what we wanted. We're both children of the 80s. We're both feral children, you know, where we didn't have a lot of structure. We were left on our own. We both come from broken homes. And so my wife and I really share a common bond in terms of our background. And we just really clicked. And so, by the way, we've been married 19 years. Is that 19 years? Yeah, that's right, 19. And so yeah, so we're coming up on 20 years. Yeah. So anyway, so we're married in '94, and so it takes me 6 years to get through college. And that's when I owned my game shop in Southern Oregon. I worked for a CD-ROM company where we made this computer game that was not very successful, and got my degree in Spanish. So in 1999, we got kicked out of our house. I ran a hay farm for a while, and yeah, like just moving those giant pipes. I know, it's weird, because you look at me now and you're just like, guys, Shawn done a day of work in his life? Yes, I have. I have had some awful, just bone-breaking manual labor jobs that you would not believe. And yeah, I worked at a chemical plant for a little while, cleaning catalytic converters. So like those big capsule-shaped things, those actually open up. And I would have to suck out all the chemicals there. And it was so hot one day that my boots melted to the metal flooring. They actually kind of dissolved and stuck there. Oh yeah, it was so hot. So anyway, yeah, that was fun. And all the chemicals too. So anyway, so my wife is like huge. This is 99. She's huge pregnant with our first child, a girl. And so as I you know, come off the stage and the thing is over, the graduation's over, she comes up to me and she's like, I made an investment in you. She had worked to put me through college. I made an investment in you, and I'm going to get my money back. So that was a little scary. I'm like, I got to grow up and get a job now. So the baby comes, and I didn't really want a baby. I think maybe I'd say most men are kind of like, they're not keen on the responsibilities of fatherhood. But
children don't watch these videos.
so no, they know. This isn't the end of the story. So the baby comes, and this is on video. When I first see her, it's like the Grinch's heart growing 3 sizes. I'm like, oh, I love her so much. And yeah, it was awesome seeing your child born. That's it. That is a life. So I got with it. I found a job in the San Francisco Bay Area teaching 4th grade. I did ESL, bilingual, but 4th grade is all subjects, so you have the same kids all day long. And loved being a 4th grade teacher. Just absolutely had a fantastic time, but it was a brutal commute. It was a really hard school. It was what could be called an inner city school. It was one of the lowest performing schools in the state. And boy, in the 5 school years that I was there, we really whipped that place into shape. They were doing a ton better by the time we were done. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. But it was, okay, so now we're fast forwarded to 2003, so 99 to 03. So my father's diagnosed with cancer, and so I'm getting to know him a little bit better. And if I had to give some advice, I'd say don't let, if there's somebody in your life, how do I explain this? Don't let there be a wall in those relationships, because you never know when they're going to be gone, and it's hard to get past those on short notice. So, I was glad that, because my dad left us. He came back like 6 years later when I was 19. And but I'm glad we stayed in touch, because in the end it was easier to kind of get a sense of closure, So, but at the same time, if somebody in your life is toxic, sometimes you gotta let go of them. And for me, I think there's two ways to do it. One is I call excise the tumor, which is you just completely get rid of that person out of your life. And you do it completely. There's no contact. They're gone. And you don't pine away for that relationship. You just let it go. And this includes close relatives. If they're harmful, if they're toxic. Second, and it's okay, I believe it's okay to do that. In fact, you need to do it. Second thing is I call the Christmas card. The Christmas card is that person's not so awesome in your life, and you let them go, but they do get a Christmas card every Christmas. And you're nice about it. You don't have to. Toxic people, usually it's no good confronting them. You just, get a pineapple and set it on the counter and tell the pineapple all your feelings as if it were that person, and just, let that out, let that be your closure, and then put the pineapple into the garbage disposal, because you've dumped all that negative energy into that poor pineapple.
Watermelon and sledgehammer works equally well.
Yeah, watermelon and sledgehammer, says Spencer. By the way, it's just me and Spencer in the room now. Spencer's my only audience here. Yay! All right, so that's the Christmas card method, and I actually think that's pretty good, because then you kind of stay in touch, and who knows, maybe they'll mend their ways, but don't hold your breath. All right, so 2003, we get closure, and that was pretty awesome. And my dad was a bit of an entrepreneur, and he encouraged me to start my painting company. And in fact, it was late 2003 that I realized I could make money painting miniatures, which was really awesome. And but it was a huge risk, and it still is, to get in the miniatures painting business. It's pretty competitive. And so anyway, I started Blue Table Painting January 2004, and about 6 months later we moved from the Bay Area out to Utah, where my wife has a whole bunch of relatives here. And I've been in Utah for 9 years, living in the same home. In fact, the house here costs the same. You can buy like a 6-bedroom house and have a mortgage of about $1,300. Dave, wouldn't you say?
I need to buy a house.
Yeah. So the Utah housing market is great. It's really a good place. It's really a good. Yeah, there you go. It's a good place to be. So Utah's definitely treated us way better than California. But it depends on what you're doing, And like I said, my wife has relatives out here. My kids all have their cousins. I had 2 more kids. So I have 4 all total. So I have girl, boy, boy, girl. So those of you that follow the channel, my youngest daughter is 4 years old now. She's an absolute darling. I love my life. But circling back to what I was saying in the beginning, I do feel like just in terms of our home and where we live, it might be time for a change. And don't panic about BTP, because this monster has a life of its own. And I love being here. It is, I gotta tell you, this has been super. To meet the people that I've met, to make the friends that I've made, has been absolutely fantastic, and I don't see it stopping. it's really neat to, I keep my Skype open and I have people, they just kind of check in and, maybe chat me up a few lines. I get some calls now and again, do some video calls at home, and it's a fantastic life. And Blue Table Painting has, as a company, is coming up in 5 months, we'll be hitting the 10-year mark. And it has been a great journey so far, and yet more amazing, 10 times the amount of amazing things are still to come. You would not believe the plans and aspirations and fun things that we have outlined for this company. It is just marvelous. Definitely stay tuned to what it is that we're doing. Wow, I really am alone in the room now. It's really marvelous. But anyway, back to the home front. My wife and I both feel that it's time to move out of our house, and it really, for the most part, it's the house that our kids are familiar with. It's kind of what they've grown up with. But a life isn't made. A life isn't for just having kind of the same old thing. I believe that as humans, we're made for adventure, and we have all the ingredients inside of ourselves to survive, to thrive, and to do amazing things no matter what our situation is. And yeah, it's really been spectacular. All right, well, I think I'm wrapping this up. Yeah, that's about it. It's been my life. I got to tell you, I have lived a full and amazing life. I just have no regrets. Regrets are really just making a judgment on something that, well, maybe you don't know the whole story, even though it was part of your story. There are other ways of looking at it, and so there's really no reason to carry that stuff around, because tomorrow really is a new day. Tomorrow is a new story that you can have. Today is a new story that you can have. So with that, I leave you, and thank you for tuning in. How am I doing? How am I doing back here? Do you know how to make it go up and down? All right, I got somebody coming to check to see if... No, that's not it. This
is different.
This makes it go like that. How's that? I want to be about 2/3 the way up.
Probably like one more step back.
Oh, okay. Well, but I want to be here, so...
Okay. Scoot this back a little bit. That should be good.
Just tilt
That way
this
we're
up
not
like
cutting
that.
off. Well, I'm trying to keep it as level as possible.
Oh, okay.
too,
Sounds good.
without